In 2 Kings chapter 6, there's a story about Elisha. And in this story, it says that Israel and Aram were at war. And every time that Aram made a decision, the decision was kind of spiritually caught by Elisha. It was awesome. Every time that they decided on a certain strategy, Elisha would let Israel know that exact strategy that they're doing. So after so many times, they kind of got so tired of it, the leader of Aram, instead of going after Israel, decided to just concentrate all of his forces on Elisha. So they found the city that Elisha was in, and they went and they completely surrounded the city. It says that they had all their horses, that they had all their men completely surround the whole city. And Elijah was with a boy, I guess, that he could have been mentoring. I don't really know, but he decided, the boy actually went outside and he looked and he saw all the soldiers, and he was like freaking out. He went back in and he went to Elijah and he said, "Elijah, what do we do? There's soldiers, like, they surrounded the entire city. There's so many. Oh my God." He's like freaking out, you know. And Elijah says, "Don't worry, chill out. It's totally cool. We have a lot more on our side than they have on their side." And the kid was like, "What are you talking about? I only see the Aram soldiers." He's like freaking out the whole time. And then Elijah actually prays inside, in the verse it says that he prays that God would open up his eyes. And when he did, it says that he looked around and he saw that the Armenian army that surrounded the city was actually surrounded by angels. Today I want to talk about God's faithfulness. When I was still in Bible school, I was coming home from Oklahoma to California to spend Christmas vacation here. And I remember we were driving home. It was with my brother and his wife, Christina, and we were driving through, what is that town? Flagstaff. We were driving through Flagstaff, and when we were driving up through the mountains, there was a big snowstorm that hit Flagstaff while we were driving. And I've driven in Oklahoma a little bit, so I kind of know how to drive in the snow. Before I went to Oklahoma, I was a full-on Californian and I had no idea whatsoever. But I kind of figured it out a little bit in Oklahoma. So we were driving, and very luckily, we were right behind this semi-truck. And thank God, I mean, the semi-truck was so big and heavy, it wasn't going anywhere. So it kind of just drove at 15 all the way through the snowstorm. And we were like right behind it. So I remember I was driving kind of behind it, and I wanted to see, like, well, maybe I could be going faster. Maybe it's not as bad as I thought. So I kind of swerved out. And when I swerved out a little bit, immediately my car started sliding. So I slowly but surely got back in place behind the semi-truck. And it was pretty awesome. The semi-truck led us all the way through Flagstaff, all the way through the mountains. It's a very slow drive, but we got all the way through. In the Bible, it talks a lot about God's promises. It talks about how God promised us forgiveness. It talks about how God promised us grace. It talks about how God promised us the Holy Spirit. And I was thinking about God's faithfulness today. And I just wanted to make a video talking about it because I know that God is never going to let us down. God is never going to go back on one of his promises. One thing I love about God is that if he's called you to something, he's never going to uncall you. God's never going to fire you. He's just going to equip you. And that's what I love so much about God, is that he's a God that doesn't give up on us. It's just incredible how good God is and how faithful God is and how rich in his goodness and in his promises he is towards us. And I was thinking about this with this semi-truck, and when you look at it, the semi-truck is kind of like God. The semi-truck is God bringing us through the storm. The semi-truck is God bringing us through the mountain, through the troubles, through whatever disaster is going on. And the rest of the cars are pretty much us. And in this story, it's so funny. I was thinking about this, and when you think about it, all we have to do is just follow the semi-truck, is just follow God. Even though it's not going as fast or as quick as maybe we want it to go, all we have to do is just follow him, and he's going to bring us down the mountain safely. I remember when I tried, I swear, we were in like a little tiny car. It was like this little Ford car, and as soon as I went out of the semi-truck's tire paths, I just immediately started swerving and fishtailing. I don't know about you guys, but I know this has happened in my life where God has told me to do something, and maybe I didn't think it was radical enough for God, or maybe I didn't think it was just that important. Maybe it could have been something small, And maybe I just put it off. But I know that if we just stick to what God tells us, if we just follow His word and follow His plan, then He's going to lead us safely down the mountain. God is a faithful God. You can trust Him. You can trust Him with your health. You can trust Him with your finances. You can trust Him in every area of your life, and God is never going to let you down. In 2 Kings chapter 6, the story isn't really over. It also talks about after the angels surrounded the Armenian army and with their chariots and horses of fire and everything, it says that Elijah asked God to have them go blind pretty much. And it says that Elisha went out and when the Armenian army was blind, and he said, "Hey, I think the guy you're looking for went this way." And they're like, "Oh, okay, well, we can't see. We don't know anything." So Elisha walks them all the way right into the heart of the Israel stronghold. And basically, like, this is like just an incredible battle strategy, just asking God to make all of your enemies blind and then leading them right into where they don't want to be. God is so faithful. God is so good. And all we have to do is really just follow His word. Look, we may not have an Armenian army at our backs and surrounding our entire city, but at the same time, God is faithful to help us in work. God is faithful to help us in school. God is faithful to help us anytime we need it. Even when we don't think we need Him, God is also faithful to help us. And all we have to do is just really stay right behind His word and stay right behind His path and just follow Him through the storm. That's it. I love you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.